I am using Beautiful Autumn. I have been focusing so much on Christmas with the 12 Projects of Christmas that I decided it's time to maybe switch focus for a few minutes. So we're going to use the Beautiful Autumn stamp set, as well as just a little bit of the Gilded Autumn Designer Series paper. And I also wanted to show you where we are going to use a piece of the brushed metallic cardstock. It comes in 3 different colors and it coordinates beautifully with the Gilded Autumn Designer Series paper. So I wanted to show you those and show you that it's on page 45 of the mini catalog. You can see the paper here. I'm going to tell you right now the paper is on back order until approximately December 9th, but they are getting another shipment in. So again, because it's just on back order, you can place an order for it still. And then, oh, thanks, Diane, you're sweet. So you can, when it's just on back order, you can still order it, and then they'll send it to you when it becomes available. And then here is the brushed metallic cardstock that I was telling you about. We will not be using the punches. We will be using a little bit of the ribbon as well. So let's get to it because it will take a little bit. I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus, and this technique is called circular stamping. So here is the technique card we made years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I'm going to show you how to get that circular stamping, and we're going to actually make a wreath using that circular stamping method. I hope you're excited because I sure am. I am going to post a special blog post tomorrow. I don't usually blog on Thursdays, but I will be putting a special post on my blog tomorrow at amyrich.net explaining in words how to do this, and possibly sharing this video. We'll see. We'll see how it goes today, but at least then you'll get a good idea of how this works. One thing I did in advance was I did some of the stamping, and then I forgot to cut another piece. We want to start with a square that's 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. You could do it a little bit smaller if you wanted, but I'm going to show you, in order to do this technique, you need to make a template. And let's see what the best paper is for me to show you this template. It's a window sheet, so it is see-through, and it's not coming up on camera very well. Maybe there. Okay, so I used the largest square, I think it was, in the squares dies, layering squares dies in our catalog, and I created a template. Now what I did was, exactly in the middle of my window sheet, I cut out a square, and then as you can see, I turned the die to the diagonal and I cut it out again. This creates this template that we're going to use for circular stamping. All right, so now let's bring this in. I'm going to always keep my template up in the right-hand corner of my Stamparatus because that's going to be the most sure way. It's going to be the same place every time. Then I'm going to take my square, and I have noticed that when I cut out my square, it is a teensy bit bigger than my die. I should have used the die to cut it out, and I didn't. So I'll just make sure it goes up in this corner every single time. And then I'm going to keep all of the stamps in this Beautiful Autumn set handy. I'm going to put my maple leaf up here, close my plate, and then of course it sticks. That's the nature of photopolymer stamps. It's sticky. And then I'm going to put that back in there and take my early espresso ink. Now here's a little tip for you. If you keep all of your Stampin' Spots, your little square ink pads from Paper Pumpkin, it works great for all these little stamps, especially on your Stamparatus, because you see I got some ink on here. I'm not super worried about that spot of ink because it's not stamping on anything, but If you use the Stampin' Spot, it's a lot easier to get ink right where you want it. All right, so now we're going to turn the paper and we're going to put it in to the template on the diagonal. And then we're going to do that again. So we'll ink, stamp, turn it. We're always inking and stamping. Oops. And I could use the magnet, but I'm trying to hurry a little bit. So once you go, you can see that the curve is starting. So as it goes all the way around, then you can see the wreath start to form. That is great, but I wanted to add more leaves in there. So what I did when I created this one is I stamped it here, and then I turned it, I skipped the diagonal, turned it, did it again, turned it, did it again. So you can see I've only done 4 here, whereas here I would have done 8. Okay, so I wanted to leave some space for other leaves, which is why I did it that way. So then just another quick tip for you, if you have our chamois, it cleans off our stamps beautifully, and it's perfect for use on the Stamparatus like this. All right, so now I'm going to take that leaf off, and you can see that I already filled in the maple leaf, and this is with cherry cobbler ink. Now we're going to go to the oak leaf. So we're going to put the oak leaf where I want it on my paper. And then I'm going to close that so it sticks to the Stamparatus, and then we're going to take that same early espresso ink and we're going to go all the way around again, only I'm going to skip the diagonals again. And I'm doing that because I want to leave room for more different things. So we're only going to get 4 in there, which is fine. Okay. Go back, and I know this is a little time consuming to watch, but I wanted you to see the process so that you can duplicate it, especially if you have that Stamparatus. Now I'm going to take the inside of my oak leaf and I'm going to line it up, and this is where it's important you put the cardstock where you're going to put it when you turn it each time so that it's going to line up. That's why the template is important too, right? So now we're going to go in with the Cajun Craze. Ink that. And see, it's placing it right where I want it. So we'll just work our way around all 4 spots. And I love using that early espresso for the outline, and it matches the designer series paper if you're gonna use it with the DSP. So all right, so you see our wreath coming together now. You see there's some empty spots in there yet, right? So we're gonna keep going, and I'm sorry I'm not answering questions if there are any, because I'm cruising my way through. All right, next we're gonna do pine cones. So I'm gonna stick the pine cone in, make sure my paper's in my template. And I think the people who came to class that time when we did this, I gave them a free template too, I think. If anybody's on who took this class, you can confirm or deny what I just said. All right, again, we're going back in with the early espresso. It's just a great way to keep it normal. Then we don't need to use quite so many ink pads. Do you love this? I think it's so much fun. And you don't have to worry about if you're wanting to make a wreath, freehanding that or drawing a circle and trying to get it where you want it. This just kind of puts it right where you want it. And what a great time of year to do some leaves, right? And some wreaths of different kinds for Christmas too. Love my chamois. If you have a chamois, do you love it too? It kind of washes and dries all in one. It's fabulous. Okay, so we'll get our inside of our pine cone ready. And then we'll take our crumb cake. Oh my goodness, I love, love, love it. Now we could go crazy and add, you know, some more things in here. I will evaluate when we get our pine cones done. I think we probably could add something, but we don't want to get too wild and crazy either. Last week I felt like I got a little more wild and crazy than I wanted to, and I don't want to regret this week. Not that I regret last week. I think it turned out pretty fun, but it was kind of wild. Now, one thing we could do is we have these teeny little leaves. You know, we could stick another leaf in here. Oh, let's try it. What the heck, right? What do we got to lose? Nothing. Just a little more time together. That's amazing, right? I love stamping together. Tuesdays and Saturdays are some of my favorite times because I know that I'm going to see you all, sort of, on Facebook. So thank you for your comments. I love reading. Like I said, today I'll be in a hurry to go for a walk. I have a friend coming over to walk, so I may not get to your comments and questions right away, but rest assured that will be on my to-do list today. Oh my, that was the right move. That was the right move. I can tell already. Let's do crushed curry. I was gonna go with old olive, but I'm thinking curry is gonna be what I'd rather do. Not many leaves are green anymore now. So, well, frankly, there aren't many leaves anywhere now here in Minnesota. Our maple trees out front actually hang on the longest. Those buggers they just recently lost their leaves. Okay, the other thing about this that I'm going to say is that you don't have to be right exactly on top of the outline with the inside of it, you know. So don't, yeah, crushed curry was that was the right move, people. One of these times I am going to be doing a survey while I'm stamping and asking you, like, what color should this be? And then you vote, and then I do it that way. We did that at Onstage, and it was super fun. Because then it can turn out however you want it to turn out. I love it. That turned out better than expected. Because remember, I don't always make, in fact, I can't think of a time when I made my project front to end before I was on with you. I know it's crazy, but usually in my head I know what's going to happen. So, not always, but usually. All right, so I've got 5.5 by 8.5 early espresso. Then I'm going to take my square, which, remember, this was 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. So I went 1/4 inch bigger. So this is 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. So we're going to stick that about here. A little bit above center, right? And then we're going to take the DSP And I've shown you this DSP quite a bit. If you've been watching, you've seen it before, so I'm not going to take the time to show you every piece. But it's got those accents in it, the foil accents that feature these brushed foil paper colors. All right, so I've got that on there. And now I'm going to take my wreath and add my dimensionals. And seriously, they were to my left not 3 seconds ago. How does this happen every time? I know you're used to it by now, so you're like, yeah, she's going to lose her dimensionals. Then we're going to sit here and wait until she grabs more. But I'm serious, they were right there. I triple checked before I went live. But you know, I show stuff on camera and then I fling it and I'm sure it gets covered. All right, so then my beautiful wreath is going here next. We'll layer it like that. Oh man, it makes me just so happy. Okay, now we need to accessorize a little bit. So I'm going to grab that ribbon that I showed you. It's the metallic basket weave and metallic ribbon combo pack. You know, they never do anything short and sweet. It's always got to be long, like the August to December mini catalog, the January to June mini catalog, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You know, let's shorten things up so I can remember them. All right, so I'm just making a bow out of this metallic ribbon, and it almost is like it has metal in it because you can almost form it the way you want it. So anyway, cute little bow out of that. And of course, to attach that, a glue dot wouldn't hurt. That I did not have handy, so I'm not going to blame the mess for that. That's just me not being ready. And then I want it off at an angle a little bit. And we'll snip those ends. Do you like how I made my bow attached to the spool? That way I don't waste so much, right? Okay, so cute. Then I'm gonna do something really interesting, and I am going to take my brushed cardstock again, and actually that's not the color I want. This is the color I want. And I'm going to actually take a 1-inch piece, just like that. And then I'm going to grab a tag topper punch because I wanted a little circle cut out of this little piece here. And so since we have no tiny circle punch anymore, you know, you got to get creative. So I went to the annual catalog, saw the delightful tag topper, saw there was a circle there. So I'm going to punch a circle out of here. And actually I've already done 2 other ones, but this is great. You can cut your cardstock at 1 inch, 1.5, or 2 inches. And it has a little groove or tray to slide it in until it stops, and then punch. And each size is going to look a little bit different, but this is what the 1-inch punch does. It's really pretty. And then here is what I was after, right here, that little circle. And then I've got my Tombow glue. And I'm just going to eyeball it here, but oops, that was way too much. I'm going to be sorry about that. I'm going to grab a little sticky note and pull some glue off of there. Okay, now we'll get back to business. You're liking it, aren't ya? Yeah, me too. I am happy. Yesterday, I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit down in the dumps. The whole canceling of class, in-person classes business, you know, that just doesn't do much for me. So I'm feeling much better today, and the sun helps a lot. So isn't that cute how you just add those little circles? You know, I thought about adding some sentiment on here somewhere, but I didn't want to ruin anything. You know what I mean? Sometimes you add a sentiment and then it gets in the way of everything and it's not clean like you wanted it to be. And then my intention was to stamp "My heart is grateful for you" on the inside on a piece of Very Vanilla, but I didn't get that prepared. So I will save that and do that and send it to someone fabulous. So that is my card for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have really enjoyed making it. So you watching makes it all worth it. So I love the Stamparatus. I said I was going to talk about why I don't use it more. I am really, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit here. I'm really good at lining things up. I don't typically have a major problem with that. So, you know, I don't go to my Stamparatus very often, but for a technique like this, holy cow, that is so much fun.